On a boat in Cologne during Gamescom, ASUS has launched a new wave of OLED gaming monitors, and the one I'm most excited about is this ROG Swift PG27AQWP-W. There are three reasons to be enthusiastic about this monitor. Reason number one is its tandem OLED panel with 4-stack configuration. This will allow for higher peak brightness. It is rated to have 15% higher peak brightness than previous WOLED monitors, reaching up to 1500 nits at native white point. The purer color wavelength of the tandem OLED panel also allow for a wider color gamut and hence 25% higher color volume. ASUS also quotes up to 60% increase in terms of lifespan compared to previous WOLED monitors from the company. Now, reason number two to be really excited about this monitor is because of its extremely fast refresh rate. It has a QHD resolution of 3560 x 1440, and it is capable of a native refresh rate of 540 Hz with this resolution. But if you use the versatile dual mode, you can increase the refresh rate to 720 Hz at HD resolution, making it the fastest OLED gaming monitor on the market right now. And the third reason to be really enthusiastic about this monitor is its glossy front coating. You can clearly see here that it has a TrueBlack glossy panel. And you know me, I'm a big fan of the glossy look. You get pin-sharp clarity that is not affected by any grain, by any haze. And also, the blacks remain inky in the presence of ambient light. There will be some reflections, obviously, but I think it is because of these reflections that it enhances the perceived sense of depth. You get different layers behind the screen. You get heightened image depth, giving a superb sense of contrast from this OLED gaming monitor. Now, this monitor is superbly designed and incredibly well spec'd. Let's start with the connectivity. It has a DisplayPort 2.1a with USB R20, which means that it is capable of the full DisplayPort bandwidth of 80 gigabits per second. It also has two HDMI 2.1 ports as well as a tripod socket. Now, the design is absolutely gorgeous. It has a silver metallic frame in terms of the bezel, and if you go around the back, you can see a semi-transparent back panel to give you an insight into the components that make up this monitor. This really elevates the perceived quality of this gaming monitor, and I just shudder to think what the price will be. But with a spec of a tandem WOLED panel, with a spec of 540 Hz native refresh rate, and also with this glossy front coating, I think this is really a dream OLED monitor. Oh, I forgot to mention that the VESA display HDR spec is TrueBlack 500, which means that it is capable of 300 nits full screen at the very least. And this is stemming again from the output that a 4-stack tandem OLED panel is capable of. Besides this monitor, ASUS has also launched two other new OLED gaming monitors during Gamescom 2025. The second one will be a cheaper version of this one because it will also be using a tandem OLED panel. The model number is the XG27AQWP-W. It is classified under the ROG Strix family, so it is going to be more affordable than the high-end top-tier ROG Swift series. The XG27AQWP-W will have a tandem OLED panel, therefore you will get the 15% higher peak brightness, you will get the 25% higher color volume, you will get the 60% longer lifespan. But its refresh rate is limited to 280 Hz instead of the 540 Hz on this top model here. And also the DisplayPort is only 1.4 with DSC rather than the DisplayPort 2.1a found on the top model. It will also have a TrueBlack glossy front finish that comes directly from the panel supplier LG Display as well. And last but not least, the third monitor that ASUS has launched at Gamescom is a second generation of the XG27AQWP-D. This won't have a tandem OLED panel, this will just use a regular WOLED panel, and so the peak brightness is limited to 1300 nits on a 3% window at native white point. The DCI color gamut will be around 99% instead of the 99.5% on the tandem OLED panel. And also, it will have DisplayPort 1.4 with DSC. But there are several upgrades on this monitor versus the Generation 1. Upgrade number 1 is the smaller stand. Upgrade number 2 will be its HDMI 2.1 port instead of the HDMI 2.0 port found on the previous generation. And also it will have the new proximity sensor as well, which helps ward off image retention and burn-in because you can set the monitor to dim down when you walk away from the screen, and when you return to the desk it will return to full brightness. And this new proximity sensor will be found on the top-end PG27AQWP-W and also the step-down XG27AQWMG as well. Now, in case you're wondering about these model numbers, they are a mouthful, and the -W on the top-end model means that it is white, and maybe in the near future ASUS will be releasing an alternative model with a black back as well. But with these new OLED gaming monitors, some with tandem OLED panel and also a glossy front finish, ASUS is certainly going into uncharted territory. If you wish to learn how a 4-stack tandem OLED panel can increase the peak brightness and also widen the color gamut, delivering superior picture quality, I've done an explanation video you can watch by clicking here.